In every corner of the planet, beneath layers of stone and silence, lie truths that history still doesn't know how to name. Some call them fossils, others relics, but perhaps they are messages from time. Welcome to the echo of the past. There are discoveries that seem impossible. Fossils that defy intuition, craters that tell stories no one witnessed, bones that inspired myths for thousands of years. Many stories resemble the account of the flood. Perhaps dinosaurs existed as part of a natural balance, helping to cleanse the earth and prepare the world for new forms of life. To understand them, we must travel to three corners of the Mediterranean where the past emerged, in places where it should never have been. We begin our fantastic journey in Spain, back when the sea lived in the mountains. In the mountain ranges of Spain, especially in Andalusia, Aragon, and the Cantabrian Mountains, geologists discovered something baffling: marine fossils in the middle of towering mountains. Shells, ammonites, shark teeth, even petrified corals trapped in limestone. How did they get there? The answer is as grand as the planet itself. Millions of years ago, these mountains were beneath the sea. Tectonic plate movements pushed the ocean floor upward, transforming it into a mountain range. The mountains we walk on today were once oceans teeming with life. For the ancient inhabitants of the region, this had no explanation. For us, it is a window into the past. In Italy, something even stranger occurs. There, marine mammals were found trapped far inland. Kilometers from the coast, paleontologists discovered remains of whales, dolphins, and sirenians. Marine animals in completely inland areas. The most famous discovery is in Tuscany. A whale over 10 meters long, trapped and fossilized in sediments now far from the sea. The creature died when the Mediterranean was deeper and its current shape did not exist. These fossils allow scientists to reconstruct Europe's ancient geography, an unrecognizable continent, full of gulfs, inlets, and beaches now buried beneath fields and vineyards. And then, we arrive in Greece, where fossils were not only found, they were interpreted. Across the Greek islands and mountains, enormous skulls with a central hole were discovered. Thousands of years ago, Greek shepherds didn't know they were skulls of extinct dwarf elephants. But the nasal hole, eroded by time, looked like a gigantic eye. Thus, the myth of the Cyclops was born. Elsewhere, bones of mammoths and mastodons were interpreted as remains of fallen titans or heroes. Mythology was their primitive science, a way to explain a world that still had no name. Impossible fossils remind us of something essential. The earth changes, moves, transforms, and what we consider eternal today was something else yesterday. Before the word fossil existed, before we were born as a civilization, stories already existed. Because myths are born when science has no name for the unknown. In the heart of South America, in a place that seems suspended between time and stone, rises one of the most extraordinary paleontological discoveries on the planet. A wall, a vertical giant that holds over 60 million years of history. A cliff that shouldn't exist, yet there it stands, like an open wound of the past. Cal Orco, on the outskirts of Sucre, Bolivia, houses the largest dinosaur footprint wall in the world. In fact, a footprint of a massive carnivorous dinosaur, 115 centimeters wide, was discovered in rocks 80 million years old. More than 12,000 footprints have been recorded and catalogued, complete paths, intersections of different species, and tiny tracks of juveniles alongside colossal steps of giant herbivores. At first glance, it seems impossible. How could there be footprints on a nearly 1,500-meter-long vertical wall, 80 meters high? Why did dinosaurs walk upwards? The answer lies in geology. Tens of millions of years ago, Cal Orco was not a cliff, but the muddy edge of a vast lake. Dinosaurs walked on soft mud which, when dried, preserved their footprints like a notebook. Then came time, pressure, and the fury of tectonic plates. The ground folded. It rose. What was once a horizontal terrain became a vertical desert. The footprints belonged to over 200 different species. Titanosaurs with endless necks, predatory theropods with sharp claws, armored ankylosaurs, and even species unknown until now. Paleontologists reconstructed entire migratory routes, groups of dinosaurs moving in different directions, seeking water, food, or shelter. The Cal Orco Wall is not just a fossil record, it is a living photograph of the final chapter of the dinosaurs. Thousands of footprints, thousands of lives, thousands of steps frozen in a moment that today we see as if it happened yesterday. Cal Orco is a sanctuary, a natural monument so vast that no museum could contain it. A reminder that the Earth holds secrets far greater than us. This unique place is more than a cliff. It is a giant window into a planet that no longer exists. A lake turned desert, ground turned wall, silence turned history, because Cal Orco is, literally, a vertical desert that was once a lake. A wall that breathes history. Archaeology does not just dig into the earth, it excavates consciousness. What we find outside has always been a reflection of what lies within. Perhaps the greatest excavation still pending is within ourselves. Let's travel through time together, not by clocks, but through the land that has kept its secrets for millions of years. Let's discover how the traces of creatures that no longer exist still speak to us, show us stories, and remind us of something very powerful. Time is never erased, it only changes form. We continue our journey in the United States. Did you know that every state has an official fossil that represents it? In this powerful country, the study of fossils is highly developed. For example, the National Park Service website lists each state's official fossil, giving a sense of the richness of the fossil record. Some are prehistoric animals, others plants, and each is like a time capsule connecting us to forgotten eras. For example, in Texas, there's the Pleurocoelus, a dinosaur that walked where deserts now exist. In South Dakota, the famous Triceratops reminds us of the diversity of life in the late Cretaceous. Each fossil is not only an ancient remnant but a window to discover, learn, and connect with a world that existed long before us. When we observe these fossils, we are doing more than looking at bones. We are connecting our consciousness to the history of our planet, understanding that our existence is just another chapter in this infinite narrative. We cross the Atlantic to England, where history literally lies beneath our feet. There exist Jurassic highways, ancient paths where dinosaurs and other reptiles left their mark more than 200 million years ago. Imagine walking a trail and realizing that the patterns your feet follow were created by creatures that no longer exist. It's almost magical. These footprints allow us to recreate movement, understand behavior, and even discover species we might never have known. Geologists and paleontologists call these footprints ignites, and they are not mere impressions. They are direct messages from the past, carved in stone, ready to be read by those who know how to observe with care and respect. In England, a new fossil snake species, Paradoxophidian richardowini, lived 37 million years ago and is now in the Natural History Museum. Also, a 166-million-year-old dinosaur highway with nearly 200 footprints was discovered in Oxfordshire. It is remarkable that in such a civilized place as England, we find such ancient vestiges. This invites you to reflect on your own traces, perhaps invisible today, but authentic and carrying a legacy. And finally, we reach Australia, a continent that preserves even older secrets. There, footprints of amniotes 356 million years old have been found. Amniotes were the first vertebrates to develop eggs with membranes, allowing them to conquer land. These footprints are not just scientific data, they are reminders of resilience, adaptation, and constant transformation. Every step left by those creatures is an echo of how life reinvents itself, creates, and shapes itself in the face of time and environmental change. When we see them today, we are observing not just the past, but evidence that life always finds ways to continue, evolve, and leave its mark, even when everything seems lost. So, as we explore the US, England, and Australia, we learn that the traces of the past remain alive. Every fossil, every footprint, every Jurassic highway reminds us that the story of life is written in the earth, and that we are part of that ever-evolving narrative. Remember, time is never erased, it only changes form. And if we observe carefully, we can learn, grow, and transform our own path, leaving footprints that one day others will read and admire. Archaeology is a lesson in humility. Everything we think is solid will one day become dust and fossil. If this inspires you to discover and transform your world, subscribe and join me on each adventure to learn, grow, and leave your own mark. Have you ever lived near a phenomenon like this, one worth seeing or visiting? Or have you already explored any of the incredible places we described? Share your experience in the comments.